It shouldn't be a long shot, but you're dealing with some insane people. I mean, every day, people are getting pushed in front of subways, and maybe, just maybe, the women of the Upper East Side will finally say, you know what, that's probably not awesome.
All right, Donald Trump Jr. Don, are you there, sir?
I am here. How's it going?
Well, we're doing pretty damn well. Of course, all things considered, that there are going to be some votes stolen from us here tonight, but it still looks like it's going to be pretty good. How are you doing?
Listen, I feel good. I feel like, the red wave is happening, and we're going to overcome the margin of bullshit.
Yeah.
Or cheating, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yes. Well, both are acceptable. And by the way, this is one thing. This is also, I know your family has streamed on Rumble here. We've been setting the record here this evening for most people ever off of YouTube here on Rumble watching live. So this is kind of case in point. YouTube, Facebook are no longer needed. Enough people are migrating, and this is the first election where that's happened. That's a silver lining.
Listen, I love it. I'm a big fan of all of this red state economy stuff. I think if you ask Chris Pavlovsky, Rumble CEO, I think I was the second sort of like verified user on Rumble almost 2 years ago. So I'm a believer in supporting these things and, having Americans go out and seek out, other conservative companies. And like, I'm sick of, giving my money to someone who's then going to go support woke BS causes and all of that. So there's a lot you can do. And we should all take the time and effort to do that. Like I've been helping Michael Seifert over at Public Square, who literally is like the Angie's List of like conservative values companies. If you're traveling, like find a coffee shop that shares your value, like help put their kid through hockey practice rather than, some leftist commie organization that's going to be.
Why's it got to be hockey practice?
That you hate.
Why's it got to be hockey practice?
Because everyone can play hockey, Stephen.
No.
Why couldn't it be street hoops? Little NBA Jam.
It could be that too.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fair. I just wanted to make sure. No, I saw Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah.
The knuckle puck was played in the basketball courts of inner city Los Angeles.
It was a ghetto hockey team that made it eventually.
You can't walk through Skid Row without stepping over a goalie's net.
Inner city hockey is huge.
It's a big thing. It's a migration.
It's going to be big. It's going to be big. I'm long.
Yes, you're an idea, man. Note to self: let's call the International Hockey League, not the NHL. We'll set up some camps.
Something else.
Hey, do you have any? We're going to get to our predictions here, Donald. Do you have any sort of long shot predictions, or what do you think will be the biggest narrative from tonight, or races that might surprise people?
Listen, he was one of the guys I went to bat for early, but like a Blake Masters in Arizona, if he pulls that off, I think that's huge. I mean, he's one of the guys I'd love to see, but if we're going to be honest with ourselves, a month ago you probably said, okay, it's probably not going to happen. I'd love to see Lee Zeldin pull it off in New York as the governor of New York. It shouldn't be a long shot, but you're dealing with some insane people. I mean, every day, people are getting pushed in front of subways, and maybe, just maybe, the women of the Upper East Side will finally say, you know what, that's probably not awesome. I'd love to see, Lee Zeldin pull that off. I mean, I think there's a lot of great stories. J.D. Vance in Ohio, I think that's probably, a little bit more baked in at this point. But there's some really awesome races out there. And I think we could have some really cool candidates that aren't just, your typical Republican establishment stiff that's going to go back to being comfortable losing to the Democrats across the board and letting big tech trample our rights and, letting, archaic Republican leaders just get away with it, whatever they want because they control some purse strings.
Okay, but Donald,
I'd love to see some of that young generation in there.
Donald, look, I don't want to step on you here, but you're saying it would be cool. But who do you? If you're gonna, you gotta stake your claim here. Who do you bet? If you're gonna say long shot, give me your biggest long shot tonight. Who you think either will win or a spread that's tight?
Yeah, well, listen, I think the two that could really pull it off and be a long shot contenders would be Blake Masters and Lee Zeldin.
Okay. You know what's funny? I hate to say it, I'm going to throw up in my mouth. I have Hoka winning, but by less than 4. That was one of the long shot predictions that I have. Because it should be double digits in New York.
It's a long shot. It should be 20 points.
Right.
Given sort of the insanity of the demographics to New York. I mean, if you got within 5 points, it's sort of that should be a rude awakening to the Democrats that they can't keep, trying to convince, parents that 3-year-olds should be deciding whether to chop their genitals off to become a different sex.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on in New York right now.
We're on Rumble. You can say Dick.
Okay, yes.
I know.
I got my TV sort of mindset, so I take it far, but not that.
No, I know. No, but look, I think people need to know, right, when they're talking about this, when they're talking about what children are. Yeah, we're talking about stopping puberty, and we're talking about cutting off your schmeckle at 6 years old and removing you from your parents through CPS if you don't do it. Okay, so New York governor. You know what? That is a long shot. Masters, you're talking about there in that's obviously Senate there in Arizona.
State, yeah.
So considering what's going on in Arizona, though, have you been following this? We're still kind of keeping everyone updated with Maricopa County.
Yeah, that one's a little interesting. And it's always strange how these things usually only go wrong one way.
Yeah.
And only in the places where the Democrats really need it. And but the reality, it's sort of interesting. Mark Kelly, he's sort of this perfect Democrat shell, right? It's like, oh, he's an astronaut. But did you watch like the debates? Like, the guy is like thoroughly unimpressive, like bordering unintelligent. Not like Fetterman unintelligent, like because that's brain dead. But like, it's almost hard to believe. Like, we grow up being like astronauts. Astronauts should be impressive people, and you see the guy, you're like, holy crap, this guy's like a used car salesman. He just listens to what the Democrats say. So a flip from a Mark Kelly to a Blake Masters would be like, not only just a significant increase in intelligence in the United States Senate, but someone with some real capacity to think.
Right. Yeah, I would really this is one thing, though, too. We're going to get to our predictions, and obviously the gubernatorial elections are much closer of an indicator as to if a national election were held today, where it would go, because local politics matters when you're talking about the House seats. You're talking about 435?
Yeah.
I believe it's 435. I always get the number wrong. 435.
Yeah.
And we'll get to how many seats are up in the Senate right now, because they're they can be in off years. But governorships really are the closest indicator we have. For example, if it would be Donald Trump Sr. Versus Biden, or whatever happens there in 2024. And it does seem like that should be a walk-off as far as the flips and as far as the momentum. But God, I don't know what's going to happen in Arizona. You guys and I say this, you guys won Arizona, but lost by 11,000 votes. Let me ask you this. I know, look, and you're not a conspiracy just to be clear, we talked about this. It's not like the ghost of Hugo Chavez came and rigged the machines. That's not what we're saying. But you know what can happen? Oh, let's not update the software. That can happen where you just know it might create a glitch and people have to wait 3 hours. And if they have to go to work, they're not able to get their votes.
The biggest Republican county in a very close state that shouldn't have otherwise been close magically tells people, well, you can't vote right now. Maybe come back later. And they hope that, 5,000 don't show back up. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, these races are won by a few thousand, even a few hundred votes. In some cases. So again, the glitches always seem to go one way. They always seem to magically appear. They always seem to break and create statistical virtual impossibilities. And, eventually it's saying like, hey, I don't know, maybe I'm not an imbecile. I can start seeing the patterns here, right?
Yes.
But, again, with what the Democrats have been pushing as their platform, I mean, they couldn't care less that your kids were locked out of schools. They can't care less about your education or your wallet or energy, or the fact that we went from signing peace deals in the Middle East to being on the brink of nuclear war with Russia, like minor details. And like real people saw that, but like you could still see it. Like, I mentioned Fetterman, but like the Democrat machine is literally like, they're going after me this week, Stephen, because like they're saying I'm ableist. In other words, I'm racist against people with disabilities because I think that a United States senator making trillion-dollar decisions needs to be capable of using his fucking brain. Which, like, I don't know. Like, it's not like the guy is in a wheelchair and totally capable of thinking for himself. Like the guy, he was for the demise of Roe v. Wade, which is really interesting for the Democrat platform.
Sure.
I mean, it's fine with me.
You know what I think happened there?
He doesn't know what's going on, and they're still pushing this guy through. Like, this guy, I thought he was a decoy. I thought they put him in there to make Joe Biden sound like an articulate, intelligent human being.
Yes.
But, like, they're pushing him as a United States senator. Like, no, it's okay. You're racist against the disabled by saying that a guy with clear mental deficiency should not be a United States senator. Like, I don't think my 9-year-old or my 10-year-old should be a United States senator either right now. It doesn't mean that, there's something wrong with them, but like in his case, there's actually something wrong with him.
Right, and then he had the stroke. And actually, we have him on the show later this evening. Actually, we do have Fetterman on the show later.
Yeah.
It is kind of amazing. You are right. They're trying to go after.
Are you serious?
I hope he's not listening.
I hope he's not listening. But we have a lot of people coming in.
I hope he's listening, because I'd love to debate him on the issue. Dude, call me back later on with Fetterman. Like Hey, I've had a long midterm. I'm out there like fighting real opponents. Like every once in a while, it'd be nice to shoot fish in the barrel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He can only debate your 9 or 10-year-old.
Yes.
You have to pick.
By the way, my 10-year-old would destroy him.
I know.
I put my 10-year-old. I brought him with me to the rally that we had in Miami, and he thanked the crowd and like for the support that they were giving us. Like that's a 10-year-old. Like he literally did better on stage than the guy who would be the Democrat United States Senator from Pennsylvania, which is I guess impressive for a 10-year-old and a little bit sad for the Democrat Party today.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think that's not to insult you, but that's not impressive for a 10-year-old at all. That's rudimentary, but it would be impressive for a would-be senator. And he also chased a black guy with a shotgun for no reason who was clearly jogging.
Yes.
This is one of those. Let me ask you this before we go. Arizona, what happened in 2020? You guys don't think you lost Arizona? Come on. There's no way.
Wait, come on. No, listen. I'm a statistics guy, right? I was, for finance at Wharton. I mean, we did real math, and like I understand how these things work. Like you don't win, 18 of 19 bellwethers, but magically lose in 5 counties, all controlled 100% by Democrats, and pretend that it's like totally normal. Like I mean, Joe Biden had like a historic underperform in in any of the metrics that would have otherwise mattered. And they desperately needed mail-in balloting, and they screw your rights. And, the problem is this, like, there's not one way that you needed to do it because it's only a few thousand votes here and there. Like, they can do that, one bad actor in a given area could sway an entire election. And, of course, you can't have a Republican poll watcher in there, and they got to roll down the windows, and the pipe breaks. Like, you don't have that much I'm not a believer in that much coincidence because it's statistically impossible for it to always work that way. It's just not how math works.
Oh, ye of little faith. Okay, Dawkins. All right, look, Donald Trump Jr., I wish we had more time, but we have to get to our predictions here. We have so much to get to today. Thanks for making the time. Where's the best place for people to follow you, support you, and we might check back in with you later?
Check me out on all the social platforms. Check me out, Truth, Twitter, IG, the usual. And we'll be back soon, Steve.
The
and
OG.
If you want, call me later on with Fetterman. I don't need a heads up. If I'm sleeping, I will be fine. Don't worry.
I'll have Darren Pops Crowder reach out to you and see what we can do and explain to you. All right, thank you.
I'm not much of a drinker, but I'll start drinking just to make it a little bit. To handicap it a little bit for him, okay?
Well, if you're gonna make it fair, start drinking some GHB right now or Rufinol. All right, we have to go. This has been Donald Trump Jr.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.